How's everybody doing today? This is Mark Brody with Brohawk Solutions, and I'm here today doing an episode of Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And this one's going to be a little bit different because I want to really spotlight one of my partners, one of my referral partners, and that's Procedure Flow. I love Procedure Flow. The clients I've worked with have definitely seen a lot of value with Procedure Flow. And today I have Jamie Morell with Procedure Flow. And Jamie, let's start off talking a little bit about yourself. Tell the folks that are tuning into this a little bit about yourself and what you do and what is Procedure Flow.
Sure, thanks, Mark. So my name is Jamie Morell. I'm the Director of Customer Solutions for Procedure Flow. So in terms of my background, I spent years and years as a consultant doing knowledge management work with SharePoint and other platforms like that. And Procedure Flow was started by a really good friend of mine, Micah Peterson, and we went to school together. Oh yeah, you know Micah pretty well, I think.
Yes.
So Mike and I, we went to school together. We played in bands together. We go way back, and he got in touch with me and told me about what he's doing. And once I saw that, I just left SharePoint behind and jumped in with both feet because I saw the difference in how people use Procedure Flow and the different outcomes it drove, and that was it. So I've been on the Procedure Flow team for coming up on 3 years now. And it's been an amazing journey.
Man, yeah, I know Procedure Flow has really helped a lot of organizations, really become better at what they already do well. And so, why do Procedure Flow clients, choose to partner with you all, and what industries do you serve?
Well, I mean, the nice thing about procedures is that they're universal, so everybody uses them. So we work across a bunch of different industries, but specifically, industries of strength. I'd say we work a lot with banking, a lot with insurance, a lot with retail, and with government customers. So really, any of those industries where they're either highly regulated or they're very procedurally driven.
Yes.
Things like insurance claims, you have to do it right. You have to get it right the first time, and you have to make sure that you know what you're doing before you start doing it. And so any type of industry like that, that's where Procedure Flow really shines.
You said something just a moment ago. Everybody has procedures and processes, and that's really the essence of what Procedure Flow is about. Correct? It's really about taking the processes that you already have documented, or you may not have documented, and putting it in a meaningful workflow. Is that accurate?
Yeah, 100%. So, and I'm the guy who works with the new customers who come in and work with what they've got. And so you're completely right. A lot of them, everything's rattling around in people's heads. Some have done a really great job of documenting exhaustively every aspect of their procedure, but it's in these Word documents, knowledge base articles, PDFs, and it's just paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of text. And so what Procedure Flow does is we take that same information, but we present it visually, so that if I'm the guy on the phone and a customer asks a question that I don't know the answer to, I can just easily step through and find exactly the information I need in the moment I need it, rather than trying to thumb through a 40-page document and dig out that information.
It sounds to me, Jamie, and we may be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves in our conversation, but it sounds to me like training is just greatly simplified. Instead of teaching people, every little word and nook and cranny of like a 400-page manual, the training really is more about where to find the information and where to go within that customer journey that you happen to be on the phone with.
Yeah, training is definitely a big part of it. So most of the training that we see right now, it's very focused on memorization. And you take some folks, you put them in the classroom, and you just cram as much information as you can into their heads in like 2 or 3 weeks. which is great. And it's, if that's what you've got, it works. It's how
Yeah,
most people do it. It's just that you can do it better, and you can do it faster, and you can do it more effectively. And
yeah.
so the corner that you turn is, it's less about cramming information in people's heads, and it's more about teaching them how to find the information, so that then whatever scenario they run into, they can navigate that themselves. They don't need to reach out for help. They don't need to do any of that. They just
Mhm.
know how to find the answer themselves.
So they become proficient faster.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Cut
that's
cut that
go ahead.
training time right down. Oh no,
Yeah, yeah.
no, you're definitely correct there. So and when we talk about proficiency, it's not just that training time where you're in the classroom, but
Hmm.
when you first leave and you start doing the work, there's this ramp time that can be a little difficult to navigate,
Uh-huh.
where somebody, they've been through training, but they're not yet confident. They don't really have their legs under them yet, and at that point, like, you don't want to say it, but they can almost be a liability to the company, where
Mm.
they're more likely to make mistakes, they're more likely to take a long time, they're more likely to need to reach out all the time and ask for help. And it's that full view of ramp to proficiency that we're cutting down, not just the training time, but the nesting time as well.
Yeah, that I would imagine that that saves companies a lot of money, not just in training resources, but also from a retention standpoint as well.
Yeah, and like that nesting time, that ramp time,
Yeah.
that's when, when attrition's a problem, that's
Hmm.
when people are most at risk. And
Yeah.
so you think about what that journey is like. You go in the classroom and you're, hey, this is pretty good, this is interesting, I'm learning new stuff. But once you kind of hit the floor and you start doing the work, that's where it's like a bucket of ice being dumped on your head sometimes. It can be really rough those first few weeks, and that's
Yes.
where people can just throw their hands up and say, you know what, I don't feel ready. I'm not. This isn't for me. And you know
Yep.
the training time that you invested just kind of goes out the window, and they say, I'm going to go find something else.
Yeah.
So that's where we want to have that impact, and say, don't leave them hanging. Don't let them exit training feeling like they kind of know it but not really well. We want to make them experts and make sure that they're confident, they know how to find the answer, and they know how to do the job right out of the gates.
Yeah, I kind of liken it, Jamie. I'm gonna age and regionalize myself. When I was growing up in New England, um, at schools we always had these things that we drink water out of called a bubbler, you know, and water fountain, whatever. I'll call it a bubbler for this. But it's almost like you instead of having your frontline agents that are new to the organization, new to the job, new to everything, drinking from a fire hose. You have them drinking from a water fountain or a bubbler.
That's a great way to put it. And you
Yeah.
are regional. I only just learned what a bubbler is. Where I'm from in Eastern Canada, we call it a water fountain.
Nice, nice. I think most people throughout the country call it a water fountain too, but it's all good. um, Hey, Jamie, can you share, maybe a case study of a client that you know of that's implemented procedure flow, and what were some of their expectations and successes, you know, uh, that they saw?
Well, let's see. We have one customer that, this is a really interesting one. So they're a pharma company. They produce drugs and treatments, and they have a particular event every year where it's a sort of a promotion week, and it's kind of like Black Friday sort of event, where
Mhm.
they can see it coming. It's looming in the distance, and they
Yep.
know that the types of calls, the volume of calls that they're going to get is going to be about 7 or 8 times the norm for a week.
Hmm.
And so when we talk to them, they spent months ramping for this, preparing for this, getting everything ready, and they couldn't just hire that many people, so they would outsource a lot of this work, and they had to
Mm.
make sure that their outsource partners had people ramped up and proficient. And so before they were using procedure flow, it was several weeks of training time leading up to that for hundreds of people, and they had to pay for all that. And so once they put all their information in procedure flow, they were able to cut that training time down to just a couple of days. I think it was 2 or 3 days instead of weeks,
Wow.
and get those folks ramped to proficiency that quickly so that they were productive for the full week when they expected that higher call volume. And when they looked at it afterwards, they found fewer mistakes were made, fewer the right information was given out during that week, and there were much fewer instances where people kind of threw their hands up and said, I need help, and escalated calls that they really shouldn't have. They should have been equipped to deal with. And so it was a huge success where they saved quite a bit of money just
Yes.
because of that one small window of that Black Friday style event where they could ramp people up quickly, make sure the quality stayed good even though it was using outsourced partners, and then head back into the normal call volume afterwards.
So, one of the things that I find interesting about that case study is, that they knew it was coming. They saw the surge, and they were able to get ahead of it. And then even probably, the day of, if they needed to put a few extra bodies on, they were able to go ahead and get extra bodies on very quickly. So great story there. And I'm sure you now have a partner. You now have a customer for life, so to speak.
Oh, definitely. In
Yeah.
fact, we're currently talking to them. They're looking to expand into other parts of their business.
Awesome. Um, so, we talked a little bit about benefits for agent retention and proficiency, for the agent and the frontline. But let's talk a little bit about specific technology requirements that an organization would have to look at in order to bring procedure flow into their company. Can you spend a few seconds or minutes on that?
Well, it's not going to take long.
Yeah,
Because really the truth is all you need is a web browser. So we play
that's it.
very nicely with all the different technology stacks, whatever you're using for CRM or for all your different systems. We've got some folks who are on, AS400 style systems, mainframes with where it's that green text on a black background. And we've got others who are in, Salesforce or Zendesk or any of those more modern applications. And
Okay.
so procedure flow, the place it takes is it would just sit beside all that and it would guide the employee through how to use those systems, how to accurately input the information, what information to put in which system. But in terms of the technology, it's just a browser.
And you can even hyperlink back into those other systems
Oh
with
yeah, yeah.
within the process flows.
Yeah, a lot of our customers will link to and from that. So, for example, they might open up a case in Salesforce and have a link to the correct procedure to use for that type of case, going to the correct procedure in procedure flow, or vice versa. You're in procedure flow, it's time to open a case. Here's the link that takes you to exactly the right spot to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Again, saving a lot of time. I know that a lot of companies in the contact center world, have started to shy away from holding agents accountable for their average handle time. So you don't have reps that are sitting here. Oh, I'm coming up to 4 minutes. I got to get off this call. So just by natural, naturally going through the process, you're able to go ahead and shrink down that handle time for the agent as well. So they're not
Yeah,
fumbling around as much. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. And what we kind of see the impact is, the areas that the procedure flow would impact would be the speed at which the agent is able to work. Hold time is one of the big components of handle time that gets impacted
Yes.
because there's less fumbling around looking for the answer. They just can get right to it. But also quality. So things like fewer errors, adherence to process, that sort of thing. And then we talked about the training time as well. So reducing that.
So quality's improved also.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
efficiency, you're more efficient, you have better quality, lower training costs. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and an easier experience for the agents, so they don't have to
Easier,
stumble around in the dark looking for the answer. They can just get right to it.
and you don't have to integrate it with your existing technology stack.
Yeah.
Man, I'm thinking this is a 5 tool winner here. You know. So now let's go to the last piece here and talk about the reporting that a manager or a leader has available for them. And I mean, how does a manager, a frontline manager, or like a mid-level or senior leader know that this platform is actually even being used?
Well, what happens kind of under the hood is as the employees are going through procedures, we're keeping track of where they go, how long they spend in each step, and we roll all that data up into a report that's visible to managers, to leaders within the organization. And
Mhm,
so you can see things like, um, what are the processes that get executed the most? What are the ones that
mhm,
people aren't using? Those are both very important to know. And so you can take a look and make some good informed decisions around where should we invest our time to find some new efficiencies. Let's start with the ones that everyone uses all the time.
yes.
Or what are those things that people really should be doing but aren't? And
Uh,
so you look at the ones that don't get used and you ask questions around why they aren't being used. Are they out of date? Are we just not directing people to them correctly? Those
mhm.
those types of things.
Excellent. You know, and those may be, those lesser used processes may be um, evident of like a really basic type of call that you could potentially get into like some sort of self-serve mode, as
Yeah.
opposed to using. So, I mean, the diagnostics that you have available, that a manager or leader has available to them are just very wide ranging.
Oh yeah, the Lean Six Sigma folks, they love to get their hands on this data and
Yeah.
and just analyze it top to bottom and figure out, well, where are all the patterns and how can we just make the overall experience better.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to throw you a curveball here. Um, you know, but we are running a little bit out of time. So I'm gonna let's save that for a conversation later on. Aside from reaching out to me, how can someone connect with you or the procedure flow team to get a customized demo set up with you?
Well, they should definitely talk to you.
Okay.
But if they want to reach out, get more information, that sort of thing, you can go to procedureflow.com. Any of our social media channels, Twitter and all that. Just search for Procedure Flow, and you'll find us. It's a pretty unique name.
Yes.
And yeah, we'd love to set up a demo, show it to you, even take one of your processes, show you what that's going to look like inside a Procedure Flow, so you can get a really good feel of what it's going to look and feel like to use it for your own stuff.
Excellent. Jamie, thank you very much for spending a few minutes with me talking about procedure flow. I love the product. I love the people that are behind the product as well. I've been interacting with yourself and Micah and others within the organization for a number of years now. And you know, I just don't understand why more organizations haven't signed on with y'all. So hopefully we can get the gospel of procedure flow out there, so to speak.
I love it. Mark, thank you
Excellent.
so much. It's always great to talk to you, and
You too.
appreciate the chat.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. And once again, if you want to find out more about procedure flow, you can go to www.procedureflow.com, or reach out to me directly. My email address is mark@brohawksolutions.com. Or you can visit my webpage, where this video is actually housed as well. And that is brohawksolutions.com. Looking forward to talking to folks out there soon about procedure flow. And Jamie, have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Mark. You too.